Today's video is going to be like a little bit of a Verity by Verity. Why do I always say it that way? Verity. In a sort of self-described This takes place in New York City, or actually not. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today's video is going to be another mid-month check-in, and by another I mean like I did one in January, not another one for February, but I thought I would just let you guys know what I've read so far, some initial thoughts, and then I've got 2 books currently cooking that I thought I would mention as well. If you guys saw my Book List Thursday 5-star prediction video, then you know The Sundown Motel was one of my picks by Simone St. James. And if you haven't seen that video, I will link it down below for you so you can see what else I will be reading in the next couple of months. But I started this on February 1st and I loved this book, you guys. This was my first Simone St. James, and this is thriller mystery with some ghost story in it. And there's so many things I liked about this book. And when it comes to ghost stories, I'm not typically, I would say, like a huge ghosty person. And you guys know, if you follow me, that I love Riley Sager, who dances the line between supernatural and thriller. And what I enjoyed about this book is there's definite ghost story vibes, and it's not a question, but it's not a full-blown ghost story the entire time. There's a hardcore mystery to be solved in it, if that makes sense. So this is dual timelines, dual POVs, mystery in the past, mystery in the present, ding, 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 all my favorite things. So this book is about 2 women. It's about Viv in 1982, and she works at the Sundown Motel and went missing one night. Purse was left behind, car, keys, everything. And then in 2017, her niece Carly kind of comes looking for her, in the sense that Carly's mom has just passed away. She's always known that her aunt went missing, but never was really sure what happened to her. And for reasons unnecessary in this video, she is drawn to find out what happened to her aunt. And we get both points of view, and I just loved it. I just absolutely loved it. And one of my favorite things about this book, so many favorite things about this book, there are so many strong, amazing women in this book, and Simone St. James just writes these incredibly powerful women in so many different ways. And you have, especially like in the 1982, and I shouldn't even say especially, but in the 1982 timeline, we have a female police officer. She's the only cop on the force. You get to see all the sexism that she's dealing with, and there's even one point in the book where she says something to the effect of, you know, they were trying to make it as horrible for me as possible to get me to quit, and I was never gonna quit. And you've got Viv's roommate in the past, you've got Carly's roommate in the present. I don't want to give anything away. Just know there are so many strong, amazing characters in this book, and I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I just adored it so much. I will say early on, because things get ghosty kind of quick, I couldn't read this at night because I was like, this is too much for right before bed. So it wound up being a little bit more of a by the light of day read for me in that sense, because I am still a little bit of a scaredy cat and I am still new to horror. But if you haven't read Simone St. James, I would totally recommend this one. I picked up The Broken Girls. I will be reading it, and it was just great. Great way to start off the month. Now, the downside of starting off the month with such like a kick-ass book was that I could not, for the life of me, pick up another book that I could get into. So it was definitely, it wasn't so much book slump as more of like book hangover, because it was such a compulsive, intense, fast, amazing read, and there were so many things I loved about it. I picked up 3 or 4 other books. And on one of them, I got like 20 pages in. Another one, I think I got like 100 pages in. Another one, I was like 50 pages in, and just nothing was clicking for me. And it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to read next. So one of the things I picked up was an audiobook, and I listened to Pride by Evie Savoy. And I had heard about this book, I think partially because I heard Elizabeth Acevedo narrated it, which she does, and the audiobook is great. And I'm not an Austen fan, not because I like intentionally don't like her, I'm not interested. And this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, modern day in Brooklyn. And I feel like, so out of the gate, I liked it, I didn't love it. This was like a 3-star middle of the road read for me. It's a YA book. You guys know my push-pull with YA. Some of them I totally love, some of them I don't totally connect with. And this was a case of I just didn't connect with it. And for some reason, the dynamics in this book and the romance in this book and the characters in this book felt really young to me. And I think that was part of what I had a challenge with. So in this retelling, all the characters are characters of color, and it takes place in Brooklyn, and it is as much about race and cultural identity and class and gentrification as it is about family and love and, I would say, like preconceived notions in certain ways. So we have Zuri is our main character, and her family, her and her 4 sisters and her parents live in Brooklyn, and they're starting to see that gentrification of the neighborhood. And every time a new family moves in, they kind of take bets on like who it's going to be, and is it going to be a white family or a black family? Is it going to be actors? Is it going to be musicians? And every time sort of a place gets purchased and renovated, or like the big car pulls up, they try and figure out who it's going to be. So in this book, the Darcy family moves in across the street, and there's 2 sons. I want to say they're both, I think they're like juniors and seniors in high school, and it takes place over the course of a summer. And out of the gate, Zuri just doesn't like them. She just doesn't like that they're coming to the neighborhood. She doesn't like that they're this rich family, and she just doesn't want to have anything to do with them. But her older sister falls for the older brother, and they live across the street, so everybody just starts to get involved, and there's no escaping. So part of where I struggled with this book is I just found Zuri to be really unlikable. She hated Darius out of the gate. She completely made judgments about him. She didn't give him a chance. He seemed like a fairly decent guy, like he didn't do anything to her, and I just didn't understand why I kind of understood why she didn't like him, but at the same time, it was just like this vehemence for him. And I found her really frustrating because I just found her super judgmental and just finding any excuse to not like him, to put him down, to not like their family, and to just kind of crap all over their family. I don't know. So what I will say is I'm not familiar with Pride and Prejudice at all. So I definitely know I was missing things, and I didn't know what I was getting going in. Didn't know what I was going to get going into this. Like, I don't know the story, but I just didn't like it, because then it sort of went from insta hate to insta love, and I just didn't really buy the trajectory of their relationship. And that's just what it was. I just really struggled with Zuri. And I really liked her sisters. I liked the family dynamic. I liked the relationship with her parents. And I enjoyed that whole part of it. It was just her, I really just felt like she just wanted people to give her a chance, but she wasn't giving anyone else a chance. And I just had a hard time reconciling it. And again, that might be the whole gist of the book. And if it is, for sure, let me know. So this one just didn't work for me. I've heard such great things about it. Lots of people love it. I felt like her attitude was really young to me, and I feel like that was part of why I struggled with it. So for me, I feel like this is a me thing, and this is like my age showing. Next up is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is the last, or was the last, unread Taylor Jenkins Reid that I had on my shelf. And I was trying to preserve it because Malibu Rising doesn't come out till this summer. But I was in just such a mode where I just couldn't connect with anything. And one of my friends was like, just pick up, maybe it's like a light or a contemporary, and just everything. From the minute I opened it, started to read it, I completely devoured it, and I loved it. And I cried. It gave me all of the feels. Taylor Jenkins Reid can do no wrong in my book, you guys. She really can't. So this was her second novel, and this is about a couple named Lauren and Ryan. They've been together for 11 years. They've been married for 6. They met when they were 19 years old in college. And they have sort of reached this point in their marriage and their relationship where basically they just don't really like each other anymore. And we kind of get these small vignettes at the beginning of the book and slowly see the deterioration of their relationship, from wild, passionate love to snipping and fighting and getting on each other's nerves and everything just irritating one another. And them both kind of being like, looking at you like, I hate you. But they're not ready to just let it go, but at the same time they can't be together. So Ryan proposes that they spend a year apart. He's gonna move out, she keeps the house and the dog, and they can basically do whatever they want except get in touch with each other. And he makes it very clear, like, don't call me, don't email me, don't text me, I will not respond. We need a year apart to find our way back to each other by kind of finding ourselves and figuring out what we need to do to fix this. And this is that year-long journey that they go on. And we see it all through Lauren's perspective. So it's really her journey. And much like Sundown Motel, but very different from Sundown Motel, this is a book that is jam-packed with powerful, amazing, complex, messy women, and they make mistakes and they trip and they fall and they say the wrong things and they do the wrong things, and they don't always maybe conform to what society thinks they should do or who they should be or what they should want in terms of love and marriage and kids and relationships. And obviously taking a year off from your husband is not something that everyone understands. And I just loved it. I mean, I really think she's such a beautiful writer, and to think this is her second book, and in some ways to see how far she's come in terms of how she challenges herself with her writing and her storytelling, but still see just how beautiful it was from the almost start. I just loved it so much. And I think really you have Lauren, and then you have her sister Rachel, her mom, her grandmother Lois, and her best friend at work, Mila, and then Natalie, her brother's girlfriend. And to see all of these women approaching marriage and relationships and motherhood and being single or being in a relationship, and sort of how they all approach it differently, and everyone's version of love and what love means to everyone is so different. And you just get all these different perspectives. And I just think it's just amazingly beautifully well done. Can't recommend this book enough. Again, she can do no wrong in my eyes, and she nailed it one more time. I'm not going to go too into it in this video because I feel like I still need some time with it, but Claim Your Power by Mastin Kipp is a 40-day journey, and I talked about this in my January recap also. So I started this January 1st. Every single day there is a prompt, there's a chapter, there's journaling, and this is trying to, it says, to dissolve the hidden trauma that's kept you stuck and finally thrive in your life's unique purpose. This is self-help at its, this is probably the most serious self-help book I've read, but it really forces you to dig deep, kind of get real with yourself. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of emotion and upheaval. I'm still, you want to talk about like a book hangover, I'm still kind of having like the emotional hangover from this. I really enjoyed it. This is one of those books, what you get is what you give. So you really have to be willing to go there. Otherwise it's not honestly worth your time, because this is a book that requires a lot of time and commitment. And I really enjoyed it. Still processing. Just wanted to note that I finished it though. So in the currently listening / reading category, I am listening to The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. And I watched the movie a couple years ago and I enjoyed it. And I'm probably like 65% of the way into the book at this point. And we all know as readers that when books get made into movies, very rarely does the movie reflect all of the book or a lot of the book, especially if it's not one of these fabulous new multi-part series that are happening. But so far, I would say the movie is very true to the book. We definitely get much more insight into the characters that you just can't get in the movie, and a much bigger understanding of some of the dynamics with the characters. But I'm really enjoying it. What's strange is not the right word, but since I already know the story, at some points I'm like, oh, okay, can we just like get to the next thing because I know what happens here? So I think if I had read the book first and then watched the movie, it would be a different experience. And there's a slow, not even like a slow burn, but obviously like we're slowly starting to understand the characters. So I probably should have mentioned what this book is about on the off chance you don't know. But this is about a girl named Star, and she's 16 years old, and she talks about how she sort of splits her world, or splits her life between these two worlds. So she's got this fancy prep school that she goes to, that she's been in since like the 6th grade, which is basically 99% white kids. And then her neighborhood where she lives. And the opening of the book, she's at a party in her neighborhood, and she takes a ride home with her childhood friend who's also 16, Khalil, and they wind up getting pulled over, and he winds up getting shot and killed by a police officer, and he was unarmed, and this becomes national headlines, and she is the unknown witness when everything starts, and she really gets thrust into the spotlight and is struggling between trying to find justice for him, but also being very scared for herself, knowing that by putting herself out in the spotlight, she is in many ways putting herself in danger and putting her family in danger. I have already seen the movie of this. I know how that ends. I don't know if everything in the book is going to end the same way, but I'm really enjoying the audiobook. I talked about Concrete Rose in my Help Me Buy Books shopping addiction video, which if you haven't seen that one, I'll link it for you. But that is the prequel to this book, which focuses on Star's dad, Maverick. And when he was younger, he was a part of this gang, the King Lords, which plays a big part in this book. And I really wanted to not only read this book just because seeing the movie isn't the same, but I also wanted to get back into Maverick's world and into his family before I read Concrete Rose. So this was serving two purposes for me. So far, so good. Audiobook is really well done. I just really enjoy Angie Thomas. She does great Instagram lives. I've listened to so many podcasts with her as well. So I will let you guys know how this one ends in the sense of how I feel about it, but so far, so good. And then the other book I'm reading right now is Verity by Colleen Hoover. And I say it Verity, and I don't know why, but I do. But in another video I did where I asked you guys for help, I talked about all of these authors who I have books of theirs on my shelf and I've never read them. These are my unread authors, and this is my first Colleen Hoover, and I had you guys pick which book I should read, and this is the one you picked. So I told you I would read it in February, and I'm reading it in February. So I picked this up last night. I'm already on page 70. I get why people say you're just gonna stay up all night and read this book, because I'm totally like itching to stop this video so I can go back and read this book. But I'm liking it so far, and this is a book within a book, which just happened. Hello, didn't even know that that was part of this because I didn't know too much about this book. And we have a woman named Lowen who is a writer, and she is hired to finish a series of books by this woman, Verity Crawford, because Verity can't do the books. She can't finish them for a reason that you find out when you read the book. So again, so far so good. First Colleen Hoover, and I'm loving it. So that's it for where I'm at right now. February, short month, trying to keep the video short too. But let me know what you guys are reading. And if you're having a good month, if you hit a slump like I did, and again, kind of more book hangover than slump, but really having a hard time connecting some days, and other days I'm just, you cannot get the book out of my hands. So let me know how your reading month is going. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everybody.